Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to everybody and a great afternoon. We will now begin with the LMP earnings call for the fiscal year 2024 and the first quarter of 2025. I'm very happy to have with me Jakub Czaszasti, who is the CEO of LMP, who is joined by Gregor Pisak, who is the IR manager of LMP. Both of them will walk us through the company's recent performance and provide us with additional insights. Before we dive in, quick housekeeping point. This conference is being recorded, and if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box on the bottom of the screen. We will address them during our Q&A session. We also do cover LMP, and I will put the link to our research into the chat box after the presentation has commenced. So in case there's anything that you're looking for, please feel free to consult with our research as well. And with that in mind, and without further ado, I will now hand it over to the management of LMP. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for introducing. I hope that it will take 20 minutes and we will have another 20 minutes for questions and answers. So, dear investors, good afternoon. First of all, thank you very much for the next chance to introduce to LMP today. As recently, we offer consumer loans for medical and beauty treatments across in Poland. And my name is Jakub Czaszasti. I'm a founder and CEO since 2010. On the second slide, I try to show you a little bit about our equity story. That I just want to show you that we are existing in a quite attractive and niche market. We have got huge numbers of the clinics, hospitals, and doctors' offices. And we were first in Poland. And thanks to be first, we built a quite big barrier to entry, new competitors, another lending companies who wants to do it the same like we do. We've got an automatic process. We've got a really great technology department. Of course, the rest of the team in LMP is great too. And all of our staff in LMP guarantee real scale ability business with strong growth and international expansions. Yes, this international expansions is very interesting because we're just waiting for yesterday for a license of lending company in Romania. So it's interesting, especially for me. What is quite nice in our company. So I just want to tell you that it's more than 30% our customers, our patients, returning to us. So it shows that our product is really, really friendly, and it must be transparent, I think. Here, very short about the bridge on the right side of the slide, because it's a quite simple, because LMP offers some kind of bridge between clinics and patients. Why it's so simple? Because clinic wants to have a more merge and more patients, and clients has got an easy and quick financial solution. So it's very important that the process in the clinic must be maximum 2-3 minutes. If some banks wanted to be in the clinics, they couldn't offer that quick process because banks always takes minimum 20 minutes. So it's too long, especially if the clinic has got a lot of patients in an office. So the time is really, really important. Time means technology. Just a little bit about our two main products. First, it's a MediPay. MediPay is a ultra modern Here we got a lower ticket, very quick decision, very low risk, and that's a characteristic of MediPay. And we build another products. We use it a technology from MediPay, so this is important. But when we started almost 15 years ago, we've got a Mediraten in Germany. It's Mediraten. It's an old one. We start from this product. It's a higher ticket. It's a longer process. There is a less automatizations, and today Mediraten is a maximum 15% of our revenue. I touched this issue earlier. Opposite to another lending company, we are working in a niche, and we did not have even a few competitors. We've got only some brokers who want to accelerate banks inside the clinics. Of course, our natural competitors are credit cards and bank loans, but these institutions do not have direct integration between clinics and products. But of course, we do. So that's why in a first slide we write down here embedded leader in embedded healthcare finance, because today we've got more than 13,000 cooperating clinics, and it was very important that every clinics need to have our software solution inside. So every our partner is connected with LMPay clinic panel, and this is our power, I guess. From the last 15 years, we growing, we rising. But when we started, we focused mostly on dentistry. Then ophthalmology we started, orthopedics, gynecology. Today, these parts of treatments, of course, still existing. It's very, very important, but well-being, depilation, and especially after COVID-19 pet boom, of course, I mean about veterinary. This is the future of our business. Patients today needs are more complicated today, or maybe I should say more complex today. So if you wanna go to dentistry, sometimes you'd like to avoid a psychological problem too. So today we are a company who deliver that solutions, and we say to our patients, of course, if you need some treatments, let's do it completely. So that's why we've got a 30% returning clients, because well-being, it's not only dentistry, it's not only a nice face and a lot of Botox, but this is absolutely all medical treatments, your psychological, keep fit, and etc. Sometimes our clients, our patients wants to take a loan for English lessons, for example. So it works too, and sometimes we put it together. But everything which is outside medical treatments, it's we send it to the patients only, to very well-known patients. So we can lend the money for something another, but we need to know these patients very well, and the historical installments in LMPay. We've got a returning character, especially, of course, in the beauty. And always when I can see this line on the right, it's amazing, because this trend line looks really incredible. After my last presentation in January, I received some interesting feedback, and now I would thank you for that. Namely, that there was a lack of information about the difference between healthcare systems in Poland and other countries, such as Germany. This automatically raises the questions then, if we have a public healthcare systems, why do we have to pay for refunded treatments privately? And even 1 hour ago, I go to our national website, which talking about dentistry, for example, and I need to read you something, if I can. So, for patients over the age of 18, the National Health Fund covers the cost of treatment only for front teeth. If any of the other teeth require endodontic treatments, adult patients have two options: have the tooth extracted or pay for the treatment themselves private. So if you can see this slide and why our system works, here is two keys. First, it's a fast access to care, and you need to have a more choice. Or maybe I should write here access. I mean about the long lines, long waiting, and the range. Because the lines, of course, you can see here in Poland, in the Mediana, you need to wait for 6.5 months for a knee joint implant surgery. But it's not a problem to wait for this surgery. The problem is in another place. The place is waiting for the rehabilitations, because after that surgery, you need to wait for rehabilitation minimum, and I checked it 1 hour ago, 9 months. 9 months. It's median, it's 6.3. But today, 9 months in a north part of Poland, you need to wait. But if you are living in the south, it's not possible to go there. So it's getting crazy here. But fortunately for us, our business works. So this is quite interesting figures. Why is that? And it's in Poland public payments. It's less than half the United Europe average on health, and unfortunately we've got more than 25% less doctors for every 1,000 patients in Poland, if you compare it with average in the United Europe. Just a little bit about waterfall money. I just want to focus here on frauds. We don't have frauds, because the frauds is a nightmare for lending company. We don't have that kind of problem, because all the money would transfer directly to the clinics, hospitals, and doctors' offices. And always the staff of the clinics are responsible for confirming IDs. This is very important. So we don't need to lose the time for online confirming ID. We've got 3 main sources of financing our business. First of all, is of course our equity. It's a private debt from shareholders and one of the biggest international financing partners who give LMP the chance to grow faster and more profitable unfortunately, it's very, very expensive. That's why one of the biggest thing what we would like to do this year, and we've got really advanced conversations, it's to make the cost of the debt much more lower. But a little bit more about this in the next slides. Yeah. This big international financing partner is very important for us because theoretically it's unlimited. Our average cost of debt today is about 14% per annum, but we lend the money for the patients average for 26%. So we've got a minimum 12% upsides and quite huge potential for reducing financial costs this year. Very shortly about our scoring model and about our risk. We've got an internal and external information about client. The scoring system is upgraded every week, because we checked all our data and patients every day, but our risk director just take care about it every week and analyze this. Today, our risk is about 3%. 2.5 years ago, I employed one of the best credit risk manager in Poland, Marcin Tokarek. 2.5 years ago, we got a little bit more than 8% our risk costs. Today, it's a 3%, and I think really real that these costs in the end of this year probably will be less than 2%. As I tell you before, we've got more than 13,000 cooperating medical clinics, hospitals, and doctors. But it was difficult even to get meeting with the owner of the clinics. Then we need to presenting him or her our solutions, and then implementing MediPay and Medirate products. Today, I can say that it's worth doing from the last years, and clinics are absolutely the best distributor of our product today. We will see how it will look like when we launch our MediPay mobile by Visa product. But today, it's absolutely the main source of distribution. And we can look a little bit how it's the difference between LMPay and another loan companies, which are not focused on healthcare, but typical credit loan for everything. So it's data from Biuro Informacji Kredytowej in Poland, and another loan companies today risks costs more than 16%. In LMPay, like I said, it's at 3%. I think it doesn't make sense to make that business where the risk is 16 because the level of maximum costs today is quite low. So I think, and we have seen already that situation that a lot of lending companies who lend the money for everything just closing, and more than 50 companies in the last year closed. Here is our focus for a strong and profitable growth. So this is international expansions. Romania, we're still waiting for the license, so it will be good to say something about more when we launch it. Our card, together with Visa, we wanted to launch it half a year ago. Unfortunately, many perturbation in a Polish law made that situation that we need to change the agreements with card operator and Visa too. So that's why I hope that we launched it for family and friends 2 weeks ago, and I've again, and I think we in a real launch very speed up sections in the beginning of June. So in the next conference, I can tell you how it's going on. But as I show you before, the open of more than 90,000 medical offices will be open for our patients without touching staff of the clinics. So then we don't need to have a directly agreement between LMP and clinics, and every patient can use our card in the clinics who has got a terminal for a card payment. And of course, every month between 50 to 150 new clinics want to have a cooperation with us. But today we are focusing only for clinics who has got a big scale of medical treatments. And I think here I need to tell you because in December we write down the intense letter with the biggest broker in insurance broker. Because for the last 2 years we try to find another way. Of course, the medical is the most important for us, but we looking for some solutions when we will have the same level of the risk with lending. And of course, we found that we tested, and today I'm pretty sure that our new insurance tech products will be responsible for our revenue in our next months. And in December, we write down the intense letter. This month, we write down the main agreement, and we are going to launch this product in the next month too. Okay, so here we are, our new figures. So very shortly, customer acquisitions, we've got 1,000 more if we compare first quarter 23 to first quarter 24 to first quarter 25. So it's 9%. Of course, our revenue in the first quarter 25 is quite nice because it's at 22% more. Unfortunately, we didn't, like I said before, we didn't launch our new products. So if we would have launched it, probably we can see here a little bit more revenue, but it's let's say organic rising. So it's still, I think, very positive. Recurring customers is absolutely the same indicator, and it's being for the last 3 years. So it is about 30% still. So it's a lot. Our EBIT, small EBIT decrease year to year in first quarter, of course, due to development costs related to product offering expansions and new sales partnerships, especially in the banking and insurance sector. So this is what I tell you before. But I think that we need to tell you that about our minimum salary in Poland, because from January 24 till today, the minimum salaries in Poland rise 3 times. And in the first days of January 24, it was 3,600 zlotys. Now it's more than 4,600. We don't usually hire at the minimum wage in our employee. That's why we implemented pay rises around June 2024. But the difference between, as I said, between 1st January 24 and 31st March 25 is about 26%. We raised average salary about 15%. So this is one reason. Another one, what I tell you, there's many new implementations, IT implementations with big players. And I think in the second and third quarter, we can see how it's look like. So new large integrations. And that was only the major players in medical and cosmetic markets. We invest a lot in IT, in a personnel too, and hiring. We started to hire programmers from the outside company, and we significant expenditure on a trade fairs where we have greatly intensified our presence in trade fairs. So that's the main reason of this decrease, small EBIT decrease. About customer acquisitions, if we compare, we've got more than 5,000 new IDs. So this is very important because 2 years ago we started to lend the cash very well-known customers, because we don't want to be close only for a one-time lend. Our revenue, it's 29% year to year, so it's quite positive, and this is our main focus in our company, because it's still small, and that's my private needs that I want to have as soon as possible 10 million euros. So I finger cross this year, and we will see what's going on. Recurring customers, it's the same as I tell you, it's approximately 30%. EBIT, it's 7 million, and of course it's much more than last year, because we've got last year 3 big offs, because we wanted to be listed in Düsseldorf Stock Exchange. We need to pay a lot to our international debtor, and we've got a third of course, and we spent a lot of the money for build our visa application. Here is a little bit about our P&L. It's not still audited figures. We've got a new auditor, so we try to learn working with a new auditor, but I think it should be absolutely the same. So about revenue we are talking, about EBIT we are talking too. So if you've got any more details, questions for this part, so I'm just absolutely open to answer why this session. Our balance sheet structure absolutely the same. If you've got a question, I'm so open to answer. Of course, it's nothing unusual, that capital light business model. We don't have a capex too much. We got a not goodwill on the balance sheet because we are not a capital group. Our fixed assets is below 1%. Important thing here is that we've got still loan to the main shareholders, and today it's a 42 millions of capital and 20 millions interests. So in the next 2 years we are going to repay it, because all this money must come back to LMP. And of course, in the detail, it's not a good time to say, but in 2019 we've got a medical finance group. Then we decided to build our only B2C project to as a LMP, but we need to repay bonds. So we make bonds in a LMP and transfer the money to medical finance group. Medical finance group has got two big source to repay it. First source is loan portfolio, and we've got there still almost 40 millions. And our advisory board in medical finance group decided about selling 108,000 shares of LMP, and 100% of these shares must go to LMP. So I've got an expectation to lie down the costs of the debt from this source, because we wanted to do it as soon as possible. And here is our guidance, our forecast for this year. So in the first quarter, the loan volume. So if we go in that speed like today, it will be minimum 130, but my real expectation is rather 160, 170 million zlotys in this year. About revenue, everything depends of InsurTech. If we launch Visa, it will be 32. If we launch very well InsurTech, it should be 42 or even more. We will see. And EBIT, it's between 7 to 12 million zlotys. And this is very important slides privately for me, because I know what we should do. Absolutely, that we are determined to do it this year. First of all, our debt costs, it must be reduced. It must be reduced because it's too expensive. You know, EBIT looks very well, but I want to have more net profit. And of course, it's connected with our revenue. That's why we decided 1 year ago that we want to talk only with the top profit partners. We used to call it like a calorical partners, because it's more useful, and it takes more time to cooperating with top profit partners, and it costs because it's IT integrations, but this is the thing which is gonna take us more net profit. That's why I tell you a few seconds ago about reduction of intra-group loan. This is very important because this is one thing what we need to cut it this year. And another very important thing is a launch of new products line. I mean about Secure Pay. I can tell you a little bit, nothing more at this time because we need to finish it, but it's almost finished. It's another one. It's a MediPay Mobile by Visa, and we are in a 99.9% to start it. And another InsurTech cooperation with the biggest broker in Poland, and the first proof it's signed agreement with the biggest broker in Poland. I mean about CUK. Ubezpieczenia. And that's the end. That's our contact data. So if you've got any question, I'm so open to, and I hope that I can answer.
Thank you so much for the insights, Jakub. We do have some questions. I guess most of the issues that we're now addressing you have already talked about to a certain extent. However, since this is a growth company, people are very much interested in learning more granularity about these growth factors. And let me start out with the first question regarding the entry into Romania. Can you give us a roadmap of how that will happen? Uh,
Yeah.
I think you're not yet licensed. When you will get licensed, what the next steps will be, and when do you expect your service to start, and how do you expect that development? I.e., does it mean that in the first couple of months, or maybe even 1 or 2 years, you still have to learn the consumer behavior and your credit rating scores that you come up with, or do you feel confident that that will transfer from Poland to Romania 1-to-1 without any friction? That would be very interesting to us.
The plan is quite clear because we don't want to build in Romania our office and our representative. This is first of all. So how we want to do it? Because we launched the card, we talked with Visa and our cooperating partner with Visa, I mean ID card, about implementation the card solutions in Romania. So we are going to make it from Poland because I don't want to spend too much money for our, let's say, old system like we've got in Poland. This medical systems in Romania is absolutely similar to Poland. So we know all bad and good things in medical systems in Romania, but we need to see how the risks look like in Romania. So the card is really nice. We've got three big companies who want to be some like of broker, but this big company is not a broker, but this is a big network of medical clinics. So we will see how it's look like then. So if you ask me about the term of implementations, our Visa Mobile Pay in Romania, I've got an expectation in the next minimum 5-6 months. Unfortunately, we need to wait for the license, and our expected time was yesterday because last needed documentations we sent it to National Bank of Romania 1 month ago. So just today, our lawyer in Romania just sent some questions what's going on with our license because we've got everything over there. We've got equity capital, etc., auditors, and so on. So we will see. But I love to say about Romania because it's a nice market. But we will see. I just try to I want to be so easy, so patient with the Romania because today very important is a Polish market. So this is my main focus. The Romania is nice. We've got a license. We started our IT development for in IT. We've got a company in Romania who can make a recovery our debts in Romania. We are talking with our business partner, our debtor, about about lending to us the money in lei, and we need to check how much it will be cost to exchange euro for lei or Polish zlotys for lei. So we managed, let's say, 90% thing, and that's why we want to make implementations by card because it's the cheaper. So we will see how it's look like the card. If it will look good, then we will think about making our small office and our representative because it's very important to have directly connections with clinics.
Thank you. regarding the other ventures or corporations that you've talked about, Visa in Romania is something that you just highlighted. Now, Visa is probably something that will also be implemented in Poland, I would assume. And talked about the insurance corporation, insurance broker corporation. Can you give us a little more detail as to what you would expect on the revenue side, if you already have a projection on that from these over the next couple of years?
We can compare to another companies in another countries, such as we've got that similar company in States who called credit care, and they have got similar system like we have, so embedded system in the clinics, and they launched their cards, and they've got a revenue multiplication then. So my expectation is to have not more than 50% more revenue when we start these cards, because we are a little bit afraid about the risk, because usually the risk in paying by card is 2 times more than we've got today, so it's a 6%. So it's not a good idea to give this card everybody and has got a risk in a 16%, but we need to be clever. So we will see step by step. Our main road is the most important. We will see how it's look like the cards. Today, privately for me, the biggest chance to make a much bigger revenue is InsurTech, absolutely. Because the medical treatments, we will grow between 25 to 35%, and because it's at some lack of constants. But if we'd like to have a revenue more than 100% and still has got a low risk, we need to look another issue. So that's why we wanted to think about, and we are making it today about InsurTech.
Great, thank you. Talking about the competitive environment, and you've already mentioned that speed is a very essential competitive advantage that you have. Yeah. Can you just talk about the overall competitive environment a little bit more, i.e., do you have real competitors in your space that are trying to gain market share? And the banks as such, are they really just no competitors at all, or are they trying to make steps into your territory as well?
Thank you very much for these questions, because our main competitors till 2023 was Santander Bank, Santander Consumer Bank. But in the last months, last 2 quarters exactly, we signed down the agreement with Santander Bank because we've got some problem with our bigger tickets, because LMPay used to lend money from 1,000 zlotys to 30,000 zlotys, because if you'd like to lend more than 30,000 zlotys, it's a quite more risk. So we talked with Santander Bank about our cooperations, and today we start these cooperations. So everything more than 30,000, we are doing by the Santander, but it's a very nice system, because patients even don't know that it's a Santander Bank, because the money comes to us and we send it to the clinics. It was very important for us. So the main competitors just quit. So this is first of all, and I forget to tell you about it, and it was very important information too. And we've got another competitors. It's called Confino, but Confino, it's a part of another company which calls Comperia, and they try to make some accelerating system in clinics, but this is very complicated because it's still banking inside. So we don't feel that we've got a problem with the competitors. We've got the same problem for from the last 10 years because many competitors wanted to be in the clinics, but thanks to that we were first. It is really useful today for LMP, and it's extremely strong to get inside, even if somebody is cheaper. Because our average amount today is less than 500 euro, so customers doesn't feel that it's if it's 20% more, you lend 2,000 zlotys and you need to back 2,200, so you don't feel it. That's why it's even if somebody wants to be a cheaper, it doesn't work.
You talked a little bit about KPIs earlier, about default rates, about growth in revenues and consumer loans and the like. Can you give us a little bit more background and details on the one hand, the average interest that you will collect on a loan, what the average duration is, what the average loan volume is, and what the average refinancing is? Because you mentioned that is very burdenful for you right now, being so expensive, what the rates are that you're currently paying and what you're envisioning on.
Yeah. So yeah, of course, with pleasure. The average amount, like I tell you, it's less than 500%. It's very important because if you want to get back this money, if somebody doesn't want to pay, it's much more simpler. But this is first of all. But how it's the cost looks like. Our average term of the loan today, it's 6.5 months. What it means, because we've got a 3, 4, 8, and 12 Medipay term. So if you want to take the money from the LMP for 3 months, you need to pay for it 10%. If you want to take it for 12 months, you need to pay 25%. But this is not interest; this is fee. So it looks like quite different that it would be a fee. So if we can see that it's a average 6 months, you need to pay something about 16%, but we returning this money 2 times, so it is more than 30%. But average today it's at 26.5%. If we are talking about all our data tape. But the costs, now we can say something because we are talking about our partner, about the costs for us, I mean about the debt, about 9.5, between 9.5 and 10.5%. So average today it's more than 14. So if we manage it, this 4 or even 5% less, it will be 2 or 3 millions more in the net profit in the next year, only for this one stage, for this one trip. Yes, I think, yeah. I'm just thinking that I can add something more about it.
You mentioned Santander and that they left the market, or rather work with you now. Why did that happen? That's a question following up on that topic. Why did Santander not? Why weren't they successful?
Okay, Santander spends a lot of money because he wants to be inside the clinics, but the systems of Santander is very specific and very difficult. And another thing was that it's ultra difficult to meet with the owner of the clinics, especially if the owner has got already some agreements with medical treatments lending company, let's say. And in a private, they told me that, Jacob, in real, it's too small market for us. So we let you do it there, but if we can help you in any way, so I tell them that of course we can do it, but only in a bigger ticket because I don't want to do it. So that's why they they stop to make it because they are in another place in RTV, AGD, in big companies uh, who lends money for televisions, for example, but not for medical treatments. It's a really difficult market. First of all, to be inside the clinics, then to teach the staff of the clinics how to do it, and and you need to make these relations with the staff all the time. And really, bank doesn't have a time. I'm just under impressed to make it, to do it.
You mentioned 30% recurring customers. Now, those are very valuable to you, obviously, because you know that they're credit worthy. They know that they have to come back to you. You don't have any customer acquisition costs. What do you do to keep those customers with you? And even more importantly, what are you doing to grow this recurring base?
We offer cash. Usually, we offer cash because we love to lend the cash for everything to people who are very well known by us. Because your teeth you can do only 1-2 times in your life. So it would be stupid that we don't use these IDs again. Of course, we want to lend the cash for a medical treatments, but it doesn't matter then if you are very well known. And of course, it's a little bit cheaper than our standard level of the costs of this kind of product. So usually it's cash. That's why we can't wait for our Visa card, because then we will see in the first steps in a commercial launch. We wanted to offer it to very well-known patients.
Okay, I have one last question, which reverts back to your market entry in Romania and credit scoring. And you mentioned that Romania is quite similar to Poland. However, do you expect initially higher default rates because you can score Romanians as well, because you don't have the track record, you don't have the database in Romania that you have in Poland? And what are you doing to potentially mitigate that risk as you're scaling in Romania?
It's a testing all the time. We are really afraid about it because there is 2 reasons. We have never been in Romania. We know that there is a quite another indicator if we are talking about the cost risk in lending for everything. We don't know how it will look like in a medical treatments. We will see. But today we don't know. That's why I always do it step by step. But the market is it's really it's the same like in Poland, especially in the dentistry and the beauty. So our expectations, it's similar than to Poland. We will see. But afraid, of course, a lot. But we've got some expectation about the risk because we saw another lending company who wanted to make this business in Romania, and it's always minimum 2-3% more risk than in Poland. And very interesting thing, it's really interesting. The installments plan in Romania, you get every 2 weeks, not every 1 a month. So it's funny. Every 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your last chance to pose any questions. Please feel free to enter them into your chat box, because at this point we don't have any further questions. So unless there are more questions being entered, we are done with this Q&A session. And I'm going to wait a few more moments before I close this meeting. All right. I don't see anybody typing. Keeping this in mind, I want to thank everybody who participated for your interest. Thank you all for the questions. that you pose to the management. And of course, a big thank you to you, Jakub and Gregor, for sharing the insight with us and giving us a better understanding of the business model. And I'm sure to everybody who participated, in case you have questions, you can feel free to contact us, MWB Research, and of course, feel free to contact the company as well, which is very happy to answer questions you might have. And from what I gather, you'll also be presenting at the Equity Forum, the Frühjahrskonferenz in Frankfurt next week. So in case you're interested there, maybe you will get a chance to see them as well. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great afternoon. And Jakub and Gregor, if you want to stay on, then I can just put us into a private room. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and see you next time.
Thank you very much.